lot of us have been hurt by people. A lot of us have been hurt by people that aren't very nice to us, and it makes us want to put up a defense, and it makes us want to change who we are to better conform to those type of standards, and it makes us sometimes not very nice people. And a wise man named Walker once said that a nice man doesn't finish last because the nice man has won before the race even started, and I completely agree with that. And to exemplify that statement, I'm gonna use examples from romantic relationships, from non-romantic relationships, and an example from my personal life. So first off, in romantic relationships, a lot of times a lot of us have been hurt by a romantic partner that was, like maybe they lied to us, they cheated on us, and we were nice to them, but they weren't exactly as nice to us. And afterwards, we responded to this by maybe in our next relationship by being distrustful, by being insecure, and by generally just not being like a nice person, because those type of things tend to affect the way that we conduct all of our relationships. So and we see how that kind of affects us in the long run. It does break down our relationships with other people that we might care about, and you might look back at a past relationship and say, well, that failed because of my fault, and you want to blame it on a person that you were with before and how they made you, but really it was your choice how to perceive and whether to be a nice person in the long run. And sometimes things aren't that simple as well with platonic relationships and non-romantic relationships, because with a friend you tend to have a lot more things to talk about, you tend to have a lot more avenues of communication between you guys. So sometimes you might not even realize how you might not be being so nice to a friend because of how you feel like it may fit within your social structure, within the norm, or within the social ladder, especially when you're going through like junior high school and high school, and you may not realize how, because of the way that people that you may not like as much, but may have more control of the way you feel, treat you, that you turn that against the people that you're comfortable with and that are around you for so long. So you tend to push around a little bit more because you may not realize how real the possibility is that they might not be there one day. And that kind of leads back to my example out of my life. I look back to elementary school. I was bullied a lot as a kid, and because of that, I had this group of friends that were all these kids that got bullied and made fun of, and we all became really close. And even nowadays, I talk to a lot of them, and we all kind of hung around in the back of the playground, gave the middle finger, but I was you guys, But everything got kind of worse in the junior high when a lot of us split up and went different places, and I found myself very alienated, and I found myself very alone. And throughout junior high and high school, I surrounded myself with people that I felt made me more accepted and made me better, and I turned my back on a lot of the people that made me who I really was, the nice person that I really was. And I talked to one of those friends not too long after my graduation, and they kind of brought that to my eyes, and it made me realize that I was a nice person all the way from the beginning, all the way from a little kid in elementary school. I was a nice person, and I always loved everybody, knew who they were, but I let the people that weren't so nice influence who I was, and the people that weren't there for my well-being influence who I was, and I let that hurt not only the people that I loved and cared about the most, but myself a lot. So I won before the race even started, but it just took me that long to realize it. So thank you.
All right, Cody, I thought you had a good, forceful statement at the beginning of the speech. You're clear what the topic was and kind of what your point of view was. I think you need to come back to that a little bit more at the end, although I thought you had a very clear statement of your point of view at the end. I think a little bit more summary would have been good there. You had an excellent preview of what you were going to be talking about. The first couple of points didn't have the same amount of detail that the last one did, and I thought the last one was the one that gave you the most credibility as a speaker, and you had a lot of detail on that, so that worked really well. On the presentation issues, you got excellent projection of your voice. You're fluid, you're loud and clear, you're using energy while you're speaking, there aren't a lot of hesitancies while you're talking, and I think all of that comes across really well. Your facial expressions are also pretty animated. Your eye contact with the audience is solid, although you do need to distribute it a little bit. You tend to be a little bit more focused on the group right in the middle. Don't forget that there are people on either side too. So even when you did kind of look in this direction, by the way, I never felt like I got looked at, but that might be simply because the camera's sitting here, and that's a little intimidating sometimes. Even if you're going to be looking in the direction, out of the corner of your eye is not enough. Maybe turn your head a little bit, and sometimes maybe even turning your body is a good idea to kind of include the rest of the audience with what you're doing. Your major issue, and where all of your anxiety is in your hands. You are playing with the zipper on your jacket. You are moving things around. At the beginning, you're pulling your sleeves down over your hands, and then you're sticking your hands out again. So all of the nervous energy that you have comes out there. So you want to be a little bit more careful about that. Be deliberative in your gestures. You want to be conscious of how you're moving your hands. And you don't want it to just be random. It needs to be kind of connected to what you're talking about. So you're emphasizing a point, when you do something like that. Now, you did that a few times, but then you'd go right back to doing something else with your hands a little bit. And that's where all of the anxiety seems to be coming out. All right, good deal. Thank you.